What's up, my knife guys and girls of YouTube? Okay, so we got a discussion, and I'm going to show y'all something today. I get asked many times in my day-to-day life by people that know me and know I'm into knives and sharpening, as well as a lot online. What if I don't want to invest the time to learn how to sharpen on stones, or I don't want to invest the time to learn how to, or the money to do freehand or a fixed angle system? What's my recommendation? Well, it's always one of two things. If the person's looking to do it as cheaply as possible, I suggest the Lansky turn box. Most people aren't dealing with high carbide steels, so they don't need the diamond rods. The ceramic rods that it comes with are just fine. If they don't mind spending a little bit more money and they want a little bit more capability, then I suggest the Sharp Maker. The Sharp Maker really is a great system. Is definitely more capable than the turn box, but the turn box is sufficient for the average person. And once you learn it, you can actually get knives relatively sharp. In fact, like on the Sharp Maker, I can get them to whittle hair no problem. On the Lansky, not quite, but close. And a lot of that's got to do with just the Spyderco ceramics are really freaking good. The Lansky ceramics are not nearly as good. They're okay. They'll do their job, but the Spyderco ceramics are really good. And a couple passes on a strop, like a 1 micron diamond strop, after working on the Sharp Maker, and yes, I can get literal hair whittling results off of it. They're not going to be the prettiest edges. They're not going to be absolutely flawless. They're going to be a very good usable edge. Same with the Lansky. It's don't expect beautiful mirror edges that or super perfect scratch patterns. You're not going to get that, but what you will get is a very usable edge that will hold up nicely for you. Just don't be a douche and expect, oh, why isn't my why ain't I getting hair whittling edges? Well, number one, you got to have the skill to do it. And number two, you're not going to do that on a turn box. It's just not going to happen. But you can get hair popping edges for sure. There is a little learning curve, but for the most part, as long as you just take your time, you're good to go. The biggest issue with these is rounding off the tip of the knife. By using, well, I'll show you. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to start, well, first thing we're going to do, we're going to cut the edge off of this knife. We're going to start on the 25 degree or 50 inclusive side. We're going to cut the edge off this piece of shit. Okay, that knife is definitely dull now. Yeah, super dull. You can see how I'm pushing, moving with my fingers turning white. It's a dull knife. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to start on the 50 inclusive or 25 degrees per side with the medium rods, the darker ones. We're going to hold the knife at, perfectly vertical. People have a very easy time looking at something and knowing if it's straight up and down or 90 degrees horizontal or 90 degrees vertical. Where they have trouble is when you start getting in between that. They can hold this very easily, but they can't hold this very easily, and they can't repeat this, but they can this. That's where the beauty in these systems are. So that makes it easy. All you're doing is holding the knife, 90 degrees vertical. You want it as close to it as you can get, and you want to maintain that. Now, the only real danger with these is if you're making your pass and you slip off this rod like that, you see which way the knife goes, it's going to go that way. That's how you round your tip off. Because what you're doing is you're coming off this stone, and as you come around it, the knife kind of goes down and then rolls around the shape of that rod, and it just cuts the tip of the knife off. Now, how you make sure that that don't happen is very simple. You just take your time, and you're going to hold the knife at 90 degrees straight up and down. Start at the heel, the very heel of the edge. With a little bit of pressure, just push down and stop right when you get to the tip. And you will never round your tip off. Now, for the sake of this video, to speed things up a little bit, I'm actually going to do something I don't suggest you do until you learn it. I suggest you only start here and then down. I don't suggest you do this, but I'm going to keep the video shorter, because I just really cut that edge off big time, so I don't want to be here 20 minutes working on this. Whoa, almost stabbed myself. That's another thing. That's another reason why don't do that. I'm looking at the camera, and yeah, that's no good. But you're not gonna see. I'm gonna stop that before I cut myself. I've got a full length burr. Perfect. So now I'm going to go to the other stone. I'm going to start at the bottom right at the tip with a little bit of pressure and make this motion here. Now I'm going to do that 2 or 3 times. The purpose of that is to push my burr back over here. Now, back to 90 degrees. I'm sorry if I'm blocking y'all's vision. Back to 90 degrees, straight up and down. Start at the heel of the blade with a little bit of pressure. Down, do not slip off the stone. From heel to tip. Again, don't do what I'm doing right now. This is just to speed it up a little bit. Until you learn, you just do this. Okay. Not quite. Remember, this is not going to cut super fast. So if you're trying to remove damage or anything, you're definitely going to want to get the diamond rods. Otherwise, on these ceramics, you're not going to be able to correct nothing but like micro fractures or micro chipping. You're not going to be able to remove much steel, so you're not going to be fixing any serious damage or reprofiling. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back over here again, 90 degrees, start at the tip and come up to push that burr back over. The purpose of me doing this, think of bending a piece of metal, a thin piece of metal back and forth multiple times. What happens? It's going to get weak and it's going to break. That's exactly what I want that burr to do. I want that steel to get fatigued as I flip it back and forth until the burr breaks loose on its own. That's what I want. Now on this super cheap, shitty steel, that's probably not going to happen. And we're going to have to deburr another, with a more typical method. Now, I'm not saying that it may not do it, but I doubt it will, because this is some really crappy steel with a very crappy heat treat. I'm going to do this a few times, weakening that burr. Okay. Now we're going to make very light pass, just to get any of them burr fragments to go ahead and start breaking loose. Remember, in this step, no pressure. Now, I'm not going to take this to the fine rods. There won't be much of a difference in this case. Actually, you know what? Yes, I will. Okay, let's see how it's filling. Okay, I feel a little burr left. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of these. And we're going to go over to the white ceramics, which are a finer grit. The abrasive in these rods is, aluminum oxide. These are quite fine. Quite fine. Where these are good is for removing the burr. So now with light pressure, I'm just going to make some passes and let the ceramic rod do its job of getting that burr loose. With this shitty steel, I'm probably going to have to make a couple passes on a strop. Now see, being I'm not pushing against the rod, me coming off of it is not going to round my tip over because I'm coming straight off the rod and I'm not rolling around it. That's why I'm not stopping at the tip. I'm just being careful to come straight off the rod. That's not something I would suggest you do until you understand how it works and you're used to it, or you will round your tip over. I'm being very careful to not do it because I'm using such light pressure that I'm not rolling around the rod, so there's no chance. Sorry about that, the cats were bumping the stand again. So anyways, very light passes, alternating to get any of them burr fragments to come loose. Very, very light pressure. Okay. Now that should have us a nice edge. Well, let's see if we, first off, if we feel any burr on here. It's feeling good. Could use a little. I don't feel any burr fragments, but there probably are. And we are cutting again. This is a nice aggressive edge. Whoops, paper's bent, sorry. Lots of bite. That's not the edge, that's the paper. Okay. Now we can get it better than that. Let's just go a couple passes on 2-micron diamond on basswood. Okay. That should have us in business. Oh yeah. Now this would be a perfectly usable edge. Again, does it replace the need for a stone? Absolutely not. Does it replace the need for a strop or a ceramic rod? No. What it does is it gives you the ability to just be able to hold the knife at 90 degrees vertical and be able to get a usable edge. That's what it's for. Nothing more, nothing less. Don't expect too much out of it. Being careful and spending a little bit of time, you can get, is it focused? Like, this edge will shave. As you can see, yes, this edge will definitely shave. If I spent a little bit more time on this strop, I could get it to probably push cut pretty nicely. But you got a nice aggressive slicing edge that was easy to do, and even with me just talking and running my mouth, it didn't take all that long, and plus this edge was completely cut off. I would never suggest an edge that's that blunt. Basically I fully blunted the edge by cutting it off. If that was the case, I would want to use the diamond rods with these, not the ceramics. But so long as, the knife is just typically like kitchen knife dull, it won't take you but a minute or two really to bring the edge back to a usable edge. If you spend a little bit of time with it, you'll get it quite sharp. It'll definitely be able to shave. It'll definitely be able to cleanly slice paper. But yeah, so get you a Lansky turnbox if you just want to have usably sharp knives, but you don't want to invest much money or much time. You want something simple to use. There you go, the Lansky turnbox. And keep in mind, I'm doing this knife at 25 degrees per side just, to get it done because I don't know where that edge is at. I really don't know where the factory edge is, so I just went ahead and did 25, knowing that with the ceramic rods I would be able to get a burr formed, because I could remove a little bit of metal. I have no idea. It's a pretty steep edge, so I figured it was up there around 25. Anyways, got the burr formed. Now I can tell you this steel is garbage. The heat treat is garbage. It did not want to let go of that burr. I'm sure there's still small little fragments of burr remaining on it, but that's not the system, that's the steel. When you're dealing with really shitty steels and really shitty heat treats, that's just going to be part of it. You know, when you got steel that has a lot of retained austenite, it's gonna hold on to that burr for dear life. So that's not the system's fault. That's the steel. Anyways, I hope y'all learned something from this. You don't want to invest much time or money. 20-25 bucks get you a turn box. And so long as you're not dealing with steels that are run super hard or have, very high volumes of hard carbides, this is perfectly sufficient. Like, even for like D2, this will have no problem. All right, guys. Y'all have a good night.